Hi, everybody. I hope you and your families are doing well. I'm excited to continue reading Ghost with all of you. We are reading pages 146 to 155. Man, I said, not really believing how good it looked. Coach called out name after name: Outlaw, Speed, Lancaster, Farrar, Bullock, Fulmer, McNair. And after every name, I'd say to myself, waiting, Cranshaw, 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 Tate, Cranshaw, Hayes, Cranshaw. But Coach went on and on until he got to the last uniform, my uniform, but he never called my name. And that's it, Coach said. That's it? I knew my eyes were bugging. That's it? Everybody was checking their jerseys out, putting them in their gym bags, or jogging around the track. But I was still waiting. What about me? I asked. I didn't understand what was going on. Where were my shorts, my jersey? Where was my uniform? Oh, Coach said, as if suddenly remembering that he had left me out. But how could he have left me out? I had proven myself. I was pretty much the best sprinter on the team, at least one of them. Whatever. Didn't matter, I thought, because I had reminded him. Oh, right, I have something for you, Ghost, Coach said, digging back in the box. When he pulled his hand from the brown cardboard, he wasn't holding no electric blue dopeness. Instead, he was holding a piece of paper folded into a small square. What's this? I asked. Unfold it and see, Coach said, his face changing, falling into that familiar look of disappointment, the one Principal Marshall's face does whenever I've had an altercation. I unfolded it as quickly as I could because what I found on that piece of paper was the most shocking thing ever. It was a picture of me, dashing from the sports store, a close-up of my face, and underneath it, in red, big, bold red, was the word shoplifter. I looked up at Coach. My tongue had suddenly turned into a stone in my mouth. I couldn't breathe, like I had just finished running ladders, like I was going to yak up every sunflower seed I had ever eaten, and if there was ever a sunflower growing in me, it was definitely dying right then. I went to go pick up the uniforms at the sporting goods store, and guess whose photo was taped to the window? I didn't say nothing. I couldn't. Guess, Coach insisted, forcing me to say it, but I just couldn't. He snatched the paper back, ripped it into confetti. That's your uniform, Coach said, holding his hand open so I could see the white confetti. And since you can't wear this, he turned his hand over and let the paper fall to the ground like awkward snowflakes. You can't run, so take your silver shoes and have a seat. Wait, Coach, sit, he shouted, pointing at the wooden bench. Everybody looked at me as I started walking, but they weren't laughing and instead just seemed shocked and concerned, which was probably the only reason I didn't take off running away from the track and off to the basketball court or Mr. Charles's or any place else. Instead, I did as Coach asked and sat down. And for the rest of you, mind your business, Coach warned the team. If I hear anything about this, anything at all, you can give your uniform right back. Am I clear? The team shook about the prospect of having to hand over their sweet new jerseys, grumbled, and started their warm-up laps. I stayed right there on that bench the whole practice. And Coach never once looked over at me, not even to check that I was still there. It was like he didn't even care. As a matter of fact, I could have just gotten up and left, but that seemed like a bad idea because I felt like if I left now, I could never come back and my life on the track team would be over for good. So I just sat it out and hoped for the best, but I don't know what the best could have been. It was caught. Didn't really think it would happen. And even though I had already told Coach the shoes were a gift from my mom, I still had to tell my mom how I got them at some point, and I'd plan on telling her that Coach got them for me, and then hope and pray that she never thanked him. When I think about it now, that was the stupidest idea ever. Wow. Anyway, the point is, I wasn't a thief. I mean, I guess I was, but I wasn't a criminal. I'd never swiped nothing before. I was just a dude who needed some new shoes to run in. After practice, everybody came over to me, doing the best they could to hold their words in, but sending me all their "what did you do" with their eyes. They each gave me 5 as they left, and it was like they were giving me my final 5, the one that said, "We don't know what's about to happen to you, but hold your head up." The one just before I'd have to walk the plank. "Let's go," Coach threw at me once everyone had left. His words knocked against my chest like knuckles. A 2-piece. Let's go. I grabbed my bag and followed him to the car. As I opened the back door, he spat. "Up here," delivering 2 more to the ribs. He threw everything in the back seat as usual, then opened the passenger side door. I closed the back door and got up front. As we rode through the city, neither of us said a thing. Coach didn't look over at me or nothing. He just bit down on his bottom lip, and occasionally he would shake his head like he was picturing the picture of me in that store over and over again. I thought about trying to explain myself, but what was I going to say? I didn't steal them because I did. So I just sat there, my legs becoming wooden with fear. When we pulled up in front of my place, Coach cut the car off and opened his door. Where are you going? I asked, because he never got out of the car, except the time he had to ask my mom if I could go on the newbie dinner, but that had been weeks ago. The routine was he pulled up out front, dropped me off, waited for me to get inside, then pulled off. But he never, ever got out of the car. What you think I'm doing, Ghost? I'm going to tell your mother what you did. Oh, no. I fumbled at the handle, trying to get the door open, and scrambled out of the car. Coach, no, please, I begged. I ran around and got in front of him, holding my hands up as if I was trying to use some kind of magic force to push him back. Oh, man, I'm sounding like Sonny. But hey, please, 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 I pleaded, but Coach pushed past me. He was storming toward my house, and there was nothing I could do to stop him. I grabbed his shirt. Coach! He spun around. A tattoo I'd never noticed before peeked from the now stretched out neckline. Ghost, he said, his eyes closed. I'm only going to tell you this one time. Let me go. His voice was flat, hard, scary. I let his shirt go and put my hands together. Please, Coach, you can't tell my mother. It was like a rerun of the first Coach bailout when he came and picked me up from school, and I said pretty much those exact words. And here I was again, asking him not to snitch on me. It's not that I was scared of being punished or getting in trouble with my mom. I was, but that's not why I was begging. I just didn't want to add to the problem. I mean, I'm her only child, the reason she was working so hard, and I went out and did something stupid. But the only reason I did something stupid was because I knew I couldn't ask her for the money. And the reason I couldn't ask her wasn't because she wouldn't have gotten the shoes for me. It's because she would have. She would have done anything to get them. I knew that. And I just didn't want her to have to give up something else for me to have some stupid shoes. And now because I stole them, she would be disappointed that I didn't come to her and feel even more guilty. She'd think she was a bad mom on so many levels. But I couldn't just tell Coach all that. I didn't have the time. So I fell to my knees and pressed my hands together. Coach, please. I know I messed up, but please, please, Coach. The words began to break up in my throat. Please. Neighbors outside were looking at me act a fool. Coach noticed them too and knew that this just wasn't a good look. So he told me to get up and get back in the car. Just tell me why, he said after slamming his door. He put his hands on the steering wheel and stared straight ahead. Why, Ghost? What was I supposed to do? My mother don't have no money for running shoes. I couldn't put that on her, I replied. Ask me, Coach said, now laser beaming straight at me. I clenched my jaws, a marble of anger and frustration and fear rolled down my throat. Why didn't you just ask me? Because you ain't my father, I snapped. Why would I just expect you to help me? Why would you? I felt like my entire body was now shaking. I mean, you got me on the team, and thank you for that. And you bailed me out with my trouble at school, and I thank you for that too. But you just not. Why you care so much anyway? What are you talking about, Ghost? I care about all of you. Why do you think I'm out there every day coaching y'all? But I'm different. You know that. You heard my secret. You heard it. That ain't normal, I explained, my voice now straining, dipping into its own confetti. And I get teased and laughed at all the time because I live here and I look like this. You don't live here. You don't look like this. Now stupid tears were welling up in my eyes. You don't know what it's like, Coach. You don't know. Now Coach swallowed something, like bitter air, twisting his face up. He turned his whole body toward me and yanked his shirt down so that neck stretched even lower. You see this tattoo? He asked. It was a dark band driving down into his curly chest hair. It's my Olympic medal. I got a tattoo of it after the man who did this to me. Now Coach curled his top lip so I could see his chipped tooth. Stole the real one. Coach didn't give me a chance to say nothing. He just bulldozed on. That man was my father. He was an addict. And every time he got high, he got violent. He punched me in the mouth when I was 15 because I asked him to change the channel on the TV. The Olympics were on. And 4 years later, after I had worked my butt off to make something of myself, I got my shot to run in the same race I tried to watch when he hit me, and I won. It was the happiest moment of my life and my mom's, and I think even my dad's. But 3 weeks later, Coach paused, swallowed another dose of that bitter air, then continued. 3 weeks later, he sold my medals for a $20 high, and that was his last high. He overdosed right over there on those steps. Coach pointed to a building a few buildings down from mine. Then he started tapping hard on the dashboard, because that's where we lived. That's where I grew up. So don't tell me what I know and don't know, Ghost. I sat frozen in my seat. You from Glass Manor? I asked softly. Coach nodded. That's how I know Mr. Jefferson, he explained, which made a lot more sense to me now. So I know what it's like to live here. I know what it's like to be angry, to feel, I don't know, rage on the inside. Coach's face seemed to relax a little, like he was cooling down. And the same thing running did for me, I felt like it could do for you. He looked out the front window and shook his head. But maybe I was wrong. What did you think it would do for me? I asked, realizing that he had never thought it could help me dunk by next year, realizing I didn't even really want to play basketball anymore. He faced me again, looking straight in my eyes. Show you that you can't run away from who you are, but what you can do is run toward who you want to be. I let that sink in. Who was I? I was Castle Cranshaw, the kid from Glass Manor with the secret, the one with a daddy in jail and a mother who worked her butt off for me and cut my hair and bought knockoff shoes and clothes that were big enough for me to grow into. I was the boy with the altercations in the big file, the one who yelled at teachers and punched stupid dudes in the face for talking smack, the one who felt different and mad and sad, the one with all the scream inside. But who did I want to be? All right, that's the end of page 155. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to reading the rest of the book with all of you.